Upon entering the apartment, Tommy's ears met a loud, pulsating noise that seemed to resemble music. What's that you got on the stereo, Ash? Hootie and the Blowfish. Whatty and the Who Fish?
Boy, the budget continues to grow here in the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast.
Really? How much are we making?
Well, I don't know how much we're making, but we're definitely spending a lot of money. First, you were out at the Hollywood studios, and now we have you live and remote from the Baltimore studio.
In Baltimore, Maryland, I've been using my per diem to have crab cakes.
Oh, very nice. As well you should.
Right.
What is the difference between Maryland crab and other crab? Have you found the difference at all?
I don't know. I don't know.
Been using the per diem, but just enjoying him, not actually investigating.
I didn't have a way to do like an A/B test.
Well, right, because all they have is Maryland crab.
Right, they're
not going to. Why are you flying in? Speaking of wasting and pissing away money, why would you fly in other crab when you're in Maryland? That makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. So we will begin this edition of the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast. A recent study by the language experts at Preply. They came up with a list of what female artists curse the most in their song lyrics.
Oh, yeah?
Quite the study. I don't know who decided, maybe because from the WAP controversy or WAP controversy, however you want to say that, from the summer, maybe that's why they looked into it, but they analyzed 3,632 songs by the top Billboard 100 female artists to determine who uses, quote, the most explicit language.
And is this over the course of a year? Is it over the course of forever? We just don't know.
They say the songs the group reported spanned multiple genres and decades.
Oh, okay.
They just took the top 3,632 songs in the top 100, and then they put together the list. Now, I have the list of 1 through like 15. So would you like to begin towards the bottom of the list or go from the top?
Go 15 up. Let me say, okay. Let's see who we got.
Now what they did was they broke it down into basically the fact that the study found that they came in with times they swear, the frequency of the cursing, and the number of explicit words in their song is what they did. So at number 15, if you can believe it or not, Taylor Swift comes in at number 15.
Does she?
Yes, which she has a explicit word in 1,174 words, and she has 60 overall, the number of explicit words in their songs.
I don't think I even realized that sweet little T-Swizzle was a swearing rocker.
Yeah, it threw me for a loop too. When I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, you're going through a list, you're like, making sense. What? Taylor Swift coming in at number 15. Wow. Just above her, number 14 is Lotto. She swears every 82 words, or 82 total swear words in her songs. Then we have Lana Del Rey. She has one swear word every 248 words.
Okay.
And she has 107 overall in her songs. Number 12 on the list, Miley Cyrus, which once again, she made that turn from Disney star to kind of avant-garde rocker. But
like she almost had to.
What's that?
Like she almost had to. Like she just decided, I've got to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, to be taken seriously. So she comes in at number 12. Number 11 on the list, this one didn't shock me too much, Lizzo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lizzo, that makes sense.
But I thought she'd be a little bit higher on the particular list. Number 10 is Ice Spice, a relatively newcomer in the world of music, but still using those swear words and those explicit words to shoot herself up this chart.
So far, I'm not hearing spanning multiple decades.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
It's very much in the now. I mean, Taylor Swift has been around longer than you would think.
Yeah,
but still not multiple decades. I am shocked that there's no Madonna.
But I haven't heard like Sheena Easton or something like that, or Olivia Newton-John.
Right. I haven't seen Amy Grant show up yet, and I know how much she's known for her explicit lyrics of "Baby, ridiculous. I'm so bad." So number 9 though is Lady Gaga. And that one kind of, she gets a little spicy from time to time. Number 8 is Summer Walker. Number 7 was another one that threw me for a loop of the most foul-mouthed female artist, Ariana Grande.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. The frequency of their cursing, the number of explicit words in their songs, 158 for her.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is SZA.
Yeah.
Number 5 is a relative newcomer, Doja Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 on the list is Rihanna.
Well, yeah, I mean, so this must be a relatively new phenomenon of women getting all foul-mouthed.
Yes, I believe that is what we're seeing. Like, the thing about Madonna was, yes, she was scandalous, but it was more her videos and the subject matter than
song.
What's that?
I can't think of a song.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, there was more of maybe the subject matter of some of her songs, like, but the overtones of the videos of like "Justify My Love,"
right,
that kind of thing. That's what made her controversial. Not so much as she was, rapping or as far as putting explicit lyrics in her songs.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Rihanna. Number 3 was Beyonce.
Okay,
with 1 in 143 and 303 total in her songs.
Celine Dion show up at all?
She should. Well, if it's swearing at her songs, then yes, she should be number 1. Because every time I hear that stupid Titanic song, there are words that come out of my mouth. Number 2 on the list is Megan Thee Stallion, who the study found swears most frequently in her lyrics at 474 cuss words in her songs. She was double as much as Nicki Minaj as part as swear words in her songs. And then at number 1 was Nicki Minaj, who every 1 in 30 words uttered by the 41-year-old hip hop singer is a curse word.
I got into an Uber and it was like 5:30 in the morning, and it may have been Nicki Minaj. It could have been any female rap. I don't know. And it was just everything was in my P with your D and the F in my mouth and and it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not such a stick in the mud or a prude, but it was also 5:30 in the morning, so it just was the context was all goofed.
That may be a way to really get yourself going in the morning. Just the amount of swear words you can fit in one song. By the way, what do you think the most used curse word from the number 1 Nicki Minaj is?
Nicki Minaj? Gosh, I'm thinking it might be the peep.
No.
It
is actually bitches.
Oh, bitches.
She used
okay.
bitches 231 times alone in her songs. So every 1 in 30 words is a curse word in any of her songs.
Dang.
So if you sit down and do the math like Prepley did, every 30 words is something explicit.
That's so funny.
Yeah, keeping the beep and the clean edit folks in business is Nicki Minaj.
Right. You can't even listen to the song on the radio.
Right, exactly.
It's like, what's wrong? Speaking of rockers, there's always been this feud between David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar. Roth was on his podcast, who just recently claimed that Sammy Hagar was, quote, sex probed by aliens.
What?
Now, in 2011, Hagar claimed that he was abducted by aliens as a kid.
Okay.
And so David Lee Roth has just decided, well, I'm just going to, layer this on here. Anyway, so he just taken all kinds of digs at Sammy Hagar, said that his singing was embarrassing and taking shots. But anyway, he said, according to Sam, he was abducted by aliens. So that begins the true story arc. He went on to concoct an elaborate story of how Hagar was allegedly sex probed by an extraterrestrial when he was 15. You know, what's interesting, what David Lee Roth is adding, because there's one thing, when we hear about alien abductions, we hear about a scientific probe.
Right.
But David Lee Roth has decided that the aliens are doing it for their own thrill.
It's a sexual thing. They're not actually doing it for science. It's all a front.
Oh, this is so hot.
Yeah. The aliens are basically the adult film stars of the universe. They're just using the science as a front to film their things.
He said Sammy Hagar was abducted by aliens and he was sex probed. Does it require an apparatus? Is it a beam? We don't know. We may never know. But what I do know with absolute accuracy, that if you take half of a popsicle and you jam it into a cassette player. No matter how carefully you extract it, that tape player will never play the same again. No matter how carefully you try and fix those delicate little parts, and it'll get worse and it'll seem like the singer it used to be will be making no sense whatsoever. A lot like Sam.
What?
So yeah, David Lee Roth is just.
Let me get this straight. He's saying that Sammy Hagar is all sorts of messed up because this alien sex probe. Yet Sammy Hagar is the one that has successful businesses, has run his tequila and his bars and everything else. Meanwhile, David Lee Roth is ranting about alien sex probes on his own podcast.
Yeah, so whatever has been going down with Hagar and Roth over the past 4 decades, apparently has not simmered whatsoever. And he said something here about Hagar he spends almost $100,000 on marijuana, which gets him to smoke enough pot to smoke his body weight in pot. Yeah, really. What kind of a world are we in where David Lee Roth is trying to put himself up above Sammy Hagar? I'm much better than Sammy Hagar. What does that get you?
Right. And you're just talking about, once again, may I just add, you're the one talking about the amount of weed someone's smoking, yet talking about sexual alien probes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what when David Lee Roth closes his eyes at night, that's what he dreams about is Sammy Hagar's thing.
Yeah, of course he does. Well, speaking of probage, Alina Lopez, who is from Los Angeles, she is an adult film star who has sworn to never work with a well-endowed co-star again after one encounter left her in the hospital.
Uh-oh, what did the Big Hurt do?
That's too much eugenics, Big Hurt. Settle down, big guy. Settle down, big guy. She said, "No more big D's. I can't be a size queen anymore. The last time I shot a scene with a guy with a really big penis, I ended up in the hospital.
Oh,
I
God.
had internal bleeding."
Ah, God almighty. What? That's never supposed to happen with sex.
No, it's not supposed to. Even the aliens don't go that far up. She had to admit to the emergency room medics exactly how she had become in. Can you imagine that? You're checking in there going, "I think I have internal bleeding. Ma'am, what were you doing?" "Yeah, the Big Hurt was taking me to eugenics town, and I do not like it too. I'm the one woman who does not like it too."
No. Wow.
She said the incident happened during a group scene where the size of one of the performer's members left her, quote, "really bruised."
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, she refused to name the performer who injured her because he's a, quote, "nice guy" who had no intention of hurting her. Surprisingly, she even claimed he wasn't the most well-endowed co-star she had worked with. She just said apparently, things just started to shrink on her.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I do have a question, but go ahead.
She now believes she may have had an off day that day, but she's afraid to try something like that again.
Well, you got to stretch before you start doing anything.
Yeah, it's not the only injury she sustained on set. She said one particular sex theme shoot left her with an aching jaw and severely bruised knees. It's a dangerous business out there.
Hey, is it fair to say that most porn is consumed mostly by men? I know there are women out there that dig it.
Oh, I would say,
but I would
yes.
say, you think it's north of 97%?
Yes,
Okay.
I would say about 97.5% is consumed by dudes.
So who's the big D for? I mean, they've always got these guys with these enormous wanks.
You make a great point.
Who's that for?
And I don't know if
that just bums me out.
Right. It can take you out of the moment. Why do they have to zoom in on that?
Right.
Because then you're like, well, that's obviously even zoomed in, even if they have the far shot, it's still way too big.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I never thought about that. And I don't know a woman out there, maybe the 2.5% that consume it are when that jumps on the screen, that also doesn't take a step back and go, whoa, that's a little too much.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure. But Alina Lopez, you will not see her. You'll be seeing her working with adequately sized individuals going forward, because Lord knows in that particular field, there's so many of those to choose from.
Hey, remember about a week or two ago when that side of an airplane went flying off in the middle of the air?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was scary.
It was scary. Can you
And
imagine just sitting there and all of a sudden the door flies open like that?
yeah, and it was interesting. They said one of the reasons you don't see a bunch of cell phone videos of that is because most people's cell phone got sucked out the door.
Yeah, there was the story about the one that was found pretty much intact in somebody's backyard. I was surprised.
Well, in Canada, a passenger opened a door, but the
Oh, that's
plane hadn't taken off yet. So basically,
not as
they're just
impactful.
no.
I mean,
Just
it
was
impacted some people's travel, but not as impactful as what we and not nearly as terrifying either. I would imagine.
guy just opened the cabin door while the plane was taxiing and just tumbled out and fell to the tarmac.
Is he okay? I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but is he okay?
No, I think he broke a couple of bones. But
As well, he should, being a jerk opening the door like that.
I think so. Yeah. So he did sustain some injuries from falling to the tarmac. The flight, which was scheduled to carry over 300 passengers, was delayed and departed later, delayed for about 6 hours, which that's too long.
Yeah, for just a guy falling out of the door.
Because this wasn't a mechanical malfunction. This wasn't a terror attack. This was not. It just the guy just opened the door and fell out.
Did he think it was the bathroom? Do they know any more of what was he suffering from a breakdown? Was he freaking out, or just thought he was going to the lavatory and took a wrong turn?
It was determined that the individual was in a state of crisis when the incident occurred.
Okay.
And suffered relatively minor injuries from falling to the tarmac. Police say the man was apprehended by officers, brought to a man, 20 minutes. I think you should be able to just shut the door and leave. There's really no reason for the rest of the people to hang around.
No, once you get him off the tarmac, you're ready to go. That you don't have to wait because then they had to deboard, I'm sure, and go over the plane again, and then go back to the terminal, and then you had to go and be like, "Can you believe this guy? Let's hope this." I mean, out of all the reasons to run late, come on.
Yeah, I think the answer is, well, that was kind of stupid. Anyway, everyone take your seats. We're leaving now, and they really should not have postponed those poor people for 6 hours.
To be honest with you, if you're the flight attendant, you just to your point, you just shut the door and hope for the best that he's still not under a wheel.
Yeah, you shut the door. The pilot looks out the rear view mirror or whatever they have up there to make sure that he's not going to run over the guy. Are we clear? Okay, off we go. Maybe 20 minutes tops.
That's being generous.
I think so.
You know what?
That's what I'm
you're
saying.
talking about 15. No one needs to get up or do anything. You roll him off the tarmac, and here's the thing. He didn't even get to go down the slide. You would think at least when he opened the door, he could go down the slide. He just biffed it right straight down there. Boom, right on his face.
The cops came, took him away, and then there was nothing else to do.
Yeah, except for 6 hours sitting around. God
stupid.
Bless. Yeah, stupid. Speaking of stupid and the cops coming to take a guy away, let me introduce you to Marion Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He is a dude who robbed a Foot Locker store in South St. Louis. And he might have gotten away with it too, except, or if he had earbuds. Because here's what transpired, all right? He's outside a Waffle House, okay? And all of a sudden, 2 days after the robbery, he's in his Chevy Equinox outside the Waffle House in the St. Charles area, Missouri, when all of a sudden a concerned patron from the Waffle House heard what sounded like a, quote, female in distress in the Equinox and called police. All of a sudden, the police arrive at the scene, but no female in the car. But yet, the quote-unquote distressed female sound still emanating from said car. Jones was sitting in his car, and you know what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
He was consuming the old adult filmage. And the source of the sounds that had raised the bystander's alarm was the porn and all so instead of throes of ecstasy, apparently must have been Elena Lopez at the scene where it sent her to the hospital because it was a sound of female in distress.
Wow.
Officers ran the plates of the car, seeing that it was stolen, asked Jones if he had any weapons. He was a convicted felon who was legally barred from possessing a firearm, said that he had a gun on his hip. Police seized the gun. The following April, the feds indicted him on the robbery and using a gun in furtherance of the crime. Because of the Waffle House incident, Jones also got hit with a charge of being a felon in possession on the top of the other two charges, and probably public indecency for there's a time and place for it. And it's not when you're on the lam from the cops outside the Waffle House. Although that's probably not the worst thing to happen in a parking lot of a Waffle House.
No, that's
to be honest
true.
with you.
That's true.
To be honest with you. I just love there's a female in distress. We need to send the cops there. There's nothing in distress here, man. Just trying to relax. Next time, use some headphones like an actual, civilized person when watching that.
And sad news from Hollywood today. Herbert Cowboy Coward, who you might remember as the toothless mountain man in the 1972 movie Deliverance, has died. Yeah.
Oh.
He's the one who said he got a pretty mouth, ain't he?
He wrote that to stardom and for the rest of his career.
Kind of. And he's got a very interesting story. So first of all, this poor guy, 85 years old, was killed in a car accident in North Carolina. He died when his Nissan truck was struck by a pickup. Coward, his girlfriend, Bertha Brooks.
No. The toothless mountain man can't, you know what? It's too on brand. That's too on the nose that he would have Bertha as his wife.
Coward, his girlfriend, Bertha Brooks, and two pets, a chihuahua and a squirrel, all died in the accident.
No, this is made up. This can't be real.
No,
this guy had Bertha the girlfriend and a pet squirrel. This can't be real. So I refuse to believe it.
Interestingly enough, Burt Reynolds originally met this guy in the early 60s. They were both working in some sort of amusement park in North Carolina as stuntmen, just falling off of roofs, when they would do those Wild West reenactments in amusement parks.
Yeah. There's a guy that would have been fine if he fell out of a plane.
Yeah. Years later, he thought this guy would be a great villain in Deliverance. And so they went to the audition, and what Burt Reynolds failed to tell the director is, oh, by the way, Coward is illiterate. He can't read.
Oh, no.
So he said, he told him, hang on, where is this here?
So he's illiterate, can't read. You just have to recite the words to him and he'll recite them back to you?
No, he was given the script and told to just ad lib and riff off of the following line: "Get over against that tree and take your pants down." And
so he improv'd, you have a pretty mouth?
And so say the first thing that comes to your mind. And he said, "You got a pretty mouth, ain't he?"
That's genius. Man. I know you just got done with an improv workshop, but yeah. I don't know if you can beat that as far as improvisational skills.
That's pretty good. Apparently, the reason he was toothless was because he was hit by a pistol while he was doing this. He says that during these times at this amusement park when they were doing this Old West revival, that there were no airbags or anything. So when you fell off a roof, you just fell off a roof.
Yeesh. Into a dirt pile or something, I guess.
And he said, so he just knew how to do that. And Burt Reynolds remembered him from that and invited him to come audition to be in the movie Deliverance. And he got the part, and now everybody remembers him. And I guess just, lived a nice, quiet life with his girlfriend, Bertha Brooks, his chihuahua and squirrel up until just a couple of days ago when they were taken out on a North Carolina.
Just minding their own business, taking the squirrel for. By the way, how do you keep a squirrel in the car while you're driving?
Doesn't say.
You can't let that thing run wild in the back seat.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. That probably had to have something to do with his losing control.
His demise. I don't put blame on the person that hit him.
I mean, they're saying
I think the squirrel had to be driving. The squirrel was probably freaked out. Like, why am I in a car right now with old No Teeth and Bertha?
Right.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
So Godspeed, Herbert Cowboy Coward, Toothless Mountain Man from Deliverance, dead at 85, along with his girlfriend, his Chihuahua, and his squirrel.
And finally, on the Too Good for Radio podcast, speaking of life or death experiences, the Welsh ambulance service has had to warn people against calling for inappropriate reasons after they received 68,416 non-life or death emergency calls last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Here's one. One caller said they had lost the bottom of their denture and were worried they could have swallowed their teeth. They received over 40 calls reporting a disturbance of loud music. People assaulted, even shots fired in residential neighborhoods. So there's a little bit to that. But here's the best one. One person called in and said that they had, quote, too much kebab and called over a very painful stomach.
I've been over kebabbed.
They called 911 over in Wales there to say, blimey, I believe I've eaten too much kebab. It's filling up my stomach and I got quite the tummy ache. Could you come here and take me to the hospital?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, too much kebab. So I wanted to throw that one in there because that is a story right up our alley here on this particular podcast. You know who had too much kebab? Alina Lopez.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Herbert Cowboy Coward.
There's never too much. When you own a squirrel as a pet, there's never too much of anything for you in life.
Too much squirrel kebab.
Yeah, and you know what? Was he grooming that squirrel? Now that you mention it,
doesn't say.
A guy like that seems like he may have been grooming that squirrel and using it for meat.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to lock up the old Baltimore studios here and get out of here.
All right. You do that. And remember, there may be too much kebab, but there's never too much Nugenics because she'll like it too.